Welcome to the Maryland Caucus. I'm Dave Whelan, the executive editor of the Spy newspapers, and this is the Spy podcast where veteran Maryland political analysts Len Foxwell and Clayton Mitchell break down the politics, policies, and personalities shaping our state every week. And a warm welcome to you both. Len, some new poll numbers have come out for Governor Moore recently, and it shows about 50% of Marylanders approve of the governor's performance at this point, which in these polarizing times is probably a good number for many state governors. But it's a big drop for him. It's a 10% drop from his kind of average of about 60%. And I wondered how you both account for that and what that means for 2026.
Sure. Well, Dave, we've talked on this show for quite a few months now that the 2026 election cycle is going to be about the economy. And I think that all successive election cycles for the foreseeable future are going to be about the economy and, more to the point, public perception of their own economic conditions. And I don't think any elected official, Democrat, Republican, or otherwise, is immune from that reality. And certainly Governor Moore is not. You know, there are statistics, there is data, and then there are the street level perceptions about how we are doing. And at those street level perceptions, the Maryland economy is struggling, and we are disproportionately affected by this Trump administration's efforts to downsize the federal government to its very core. Maryland, as you know, is a state that it's proximate to Washington. It is a federal government enclave with research laboratories and military bases and a thriving biotechnology and life sciences sector. So when the federal government sneezes, as the old saying goes, Maryland catches a real bad cold. And I think that's what's happening here to a large extent. Also, we're still dealing with inflationary pressures that I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they started with the Trump administration, because we know they didn't. We know that this is an issue that this president ran on and he won on. But certainly with his tariff policies, he has not done anything to ameliorate inflationary pressures on the American household or on the Maryland household. All of this is a long-winded way of saying that this is a difficult time for any incumbent in office when you combine our flagging economic conditions with the general distrust that people of both parties and across demographic groups have in their institutions of government. I think you're going to see a natural flag. Now, what does that mean for 2026? I think the governor is still a prohibitive favorite for re-election. The only conceivable candidate on the Republican side who could wage a competitive race is Larry Hogan, the very popular former governor. To date, he has not taken the steps to rebuild a campaign organization or to lay the substantive groundwork for a campaign other than teasing a potential candidacy on social media, showing his rap bus and things like that, which are more theatrical gestures. So I still think that the governor is in good shape politically heading into 2026. But I do think what this suggests in a broader sense is that Maryland could see quite a bit of political dynamism heading into the next year election cycle. And it doesn't necessarily manifest itself in congressional races or even in state legislative races, which tend to be static. But I think in your county governments, I think you could see quite a bit of turnover just because of the level of dissatisfaction that people have with the economy and with the political system as a whole.
You know, Clay, with 50%, that does win re-election campaigns, but it's not great. This has kind of been a perfect store for Governor Moore. Do you think he can recover?
I think he's got a lot of bad news in front of him. Number one, electric bills, and I keep hammering on that, are going up. People are getting them again. We just had that scare with Brandon Shores this past week where there was some sort of problem there where it went off the grid for a few hours. That was a canary in a coal mine. The governor said that this was not an electrical supply problem, it was a transmission problem. Well, it was up to the governor Brandon Shores wouldn't be online at all. It was scheduled to come offline this year. Thanks to the PJM, it's now on until I believe 2029, but it will be going offline. And the scariness of what happened this past week with Brandon Shores, I think, sets a message that Marylanders, are you prepared for $1,000 a month utility bills? Because it may sound crazy, but that is the path that we're on. I also think that the shiny gold ring is now tarnished. Where Governor Moore is the result of multiple lamentable decisions. He has 5, I believe, cabinet secretaries that have left him. He has a labor secretary who says, wow, you know something? The Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund might be insolvent if things take a downturn. And I get back to the green energy agenda where he's got this reliance on solar, the utility scale solar farms that he's allowing to be built here on the shore in Western Maryland, and this fantasy that these windmills are going to solve a problem. In the meantime, you got the scare with Brandon Shores last week, and I think that has harmed him to a large degree. The other thing I think is that he has disenfranchised some of his core base, and I mean independents that would otherwise vote for him, and some Democrats that previously supported him. When he vetoed that reparations bill, he was the first black governor. He is the first black governor in the history of the state of Maryland, and he ticked off the Black Caucus. That takes some doing, my friend. He goes on television and tries to give this positive spin about in Maryland, we're doing great, everything's great. But everybody knows that's not true. I'll take a slightly different tack from what Len said about the upcoming election he announced on WCBM and WBAL yesterday, Ed Hale is going to make a run for the governor's office. He's going to announce it next week, next Wednesday. And based on all the research that the campaign has done, the message that he has is squarely within the Republican Party. He's going to run as a Republican. And, quite frankly, if Larry Hogan gets in the race or gets out of the race, it's not a concern with us. We are going to be rallying around Ed Hale to be the next governor and put some common sense back into this fiasco that's gone on for the past 2.5 years.
Hey, Len, switching gears a little bit before we go into hot takes. Another Marylander has found his way to Iowa. It's turning out that Chris Van Hollen is taken the trip that many people take when they consider running for president. I just thought I'd get an interesting take from you guys.
Sure. Before I do that, though, I do want to go back and agree with Clay on something he said, and not about Ed Hale, but about the relationship between the soaring energy prices and the political environment that we're heading into as we approach 2026. I think he's absolutely correct. And anyone who was involved with Bob Ehrlich's campaign in 2006, anyone who knows history from other states such as California and New York and other states where we've had chief executives actually take the brunt of the blame for policy decisions that they weren't necessarily responsible for, but they were held accountable by the voters for the outcomes, soaring prices, reduced supply, service unreliability. This is a blinking red light on the political landscape. And I don't think the governor was particularly well served in this case by the Maryland General Assembly. Over the past 2 years, they went and blithely passed Senate Bill 1, which was one of the worst pieces of energy legislation that I've seen in my 30 years in Annapolis. We warned at the time it was going to result in soaring rates, declining quality of service, and would do absolutely nothing to prevent the culture of consumer abuse that we've seen in the state of Maryland since deregulation became the law of the land 25 years ago. All of those things have turned out to be true. And the governor was not on the front lines, but as they say, there's only one governor. And just like it's easier to take out the wrath of the fans on one baseball manager than on the entire team, I think that the governor's taking is going to take a lot of hits for the soaring energy prices this summer and as we head into another cold winter. Doesn't affect his reelection chances, but it does affect those poll numbers in the moment. Going back to Chris Van Hollen in Iowa, I love to see it. He is, in my opinion, Chris Van Hollen is the Paul Sarbanes of our generation. He is thoughtful. He is intellectual. He is results oriented. He is the epitome of what a senior senator should be like. He is the type of senator we used to have in an era when the U.S. Congress routinely produced statesmen and stateswomen. And I love to see him get his day in the sun. He has been a workhorse for most of his illustrious career. He's taking a more forceful role in opposing the atrocious immigration policies of Donald Trump. And I love the fact that people are responding to it. Does it mean that he's nurturing presidential ambitions? There's absolutely no reason to think that he is. He hasn't made one move in that direction. But I love the fact that the party apparatus in one of the most important states in the Democratic states in the country, in terms of the nominating calendar, they are looking to Chris Van Hollen to articulate the Democratic message and rally the party faithful. I think it's really cool, and we should be proud of our good senator.
Clay? And
Chris Van Hollen's a good man. I think he believes in what he's doing. He's otherwise an honorable guy. I just think he's out of step with mainstream America. I disagree with Len on that point. I think that center right now is the zeitgeist of the United States. He may be a great president for the state of Maryland voters, but I think overall the electoral map would look very tough for him if he went up against Marco Rubio or JD Vance in the future. But I hear what Len is saying about comparing him to Paul Sarbanes, and I think that's a good analogy for the state of Maryland. Other than disagreeing with him on policy, I really have nothing negative to say about Chris Van Hollen.
And what are your hot takes this week, Glenn?
So my winner, and as I mentioned to you at the outset, I'm in St. Louis, Missouri this week. I'm getting away for a couple of days from what's been a pretty rough summer to watch some baseball, drink some beer, and watch some more baseball in that order. And I have to say, this is my first visit to the new Busch Stadium, which came online about 20 years ago. And what is striking to me when you go into this ballpark is that it's quiet. There's no exploding scoreboards. There's no cacophony of sound between every pitch, no sound effects. You can literally sit and have a conversation with the person next to you, because the baseball is the thing. You're not in an amusement park. You're at a ball game, and the only music that you play during the innings is good old-fashioned organ music. It's the way baseball was intended. The Cardinals are on a rough stretch, going through a rough stretch right now. They are falling out of the National League Central race. But this ballpark, if you love the game itself and are there for the game and not for the histrionics, this is a good place to visit. And in terms of loser, I feel like I should retire this award in his name. But Andy Harris, I've received so many calls and emails and texts over the past few weeks from people who are following my work with the arrested pastor Daniel Fuentes Espinal, asking where is Congressman Harris on this issue? He is this man's representative in the 1st Congressional District. And he is a member of the majority party. He could actually have some stroke with the Department of Homeland Security that's headed by Kristi Noem, who's a close personal ally. And the answer is he's nowhere to be found. He's non-existent. And so on this issue and so many others, our two senators, Chris Van Hollen and Angela Alsobrooks, seem to have to pull double duty, not only as the senators from our state writ large, but also as kind of de facto Congress members from the first district, because ours is just absent. And it's not just on the issue of immigration. It's on a whole swath of issues. The man just isn't there. And I would respectfully suggest to our viewers that the people of the first district deserve so much more than they've been getting.
Okay, Clayton, how about you?
Well, I got as my winner, it's really a short little story that I found online. And I just want to read it, just a short paragraph. A remarkable and cinematic rescue unfolded in Baltimore on July 26th when a police helicopter landed beside the Walter P. Carter Elementary School to save a man from drowning in a closed city pool. The aviation unit responded. The officers landed, performed CPR, saved the man, and took him to the hospital where he is recovering. I just thought that was a great local story and we need to have stories like that to show that there are people that care about public service and do good things. My loser this week, and again, I'm going to pound that nail, are the ratepayers who want reliable, affordable electricity. And I go back to my comments and incorporate them by reference from before about Brandon Shores, that if we don't do something in this state soon to have traditional power sources put back up, you're going to see $1,000 a month electric bills here in the next couple of years.
Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.